Okay, here we are in the factory, and the achievement for reaching the factory should pop right around here. I want to start by going left, getting on the robot, lowering it down, and riding it to the right. You'll need to raise it up so you can jump up to this platform, and then you need to drop off the other side and pull this lever down so that the platform will lower, and we can bring the robot across to this side. Okay, in this room we have a couple of switches. The middle switch is going to start filling the room with water, and after we pull that middle switch we need to use the left and right switch to move those upper platforms around, and ultimately what we're going to do is knock that crate off of the smaller platform so we can stand on it while the water rises. So I'll pull the first switch, I'll pull the left switch down, then I'll pull the right switch down to there, then I'll pull the left switch back up to knock that crate off, but then I need to move that lever, or that platform, back to the left. You need to raise the right platform up so it's at least as high as the left platform. Then I like to push the crate over to the right a little bit of a ways, not too far. Then you jump on it and simply ride it to the top as the water fills in. And once it reaches the top, we are going to progress out the opening on the right, but before we do, if you look up in that little opening in the upper left, you'll see a flower up there that we need to run over to collect. The reason I move that crate, I don't know that it's necessary, but I'm always afraid it's going to get hung up on the bottom of this and it's going to cause problems. So we'll head to the left and get the flower, secret found. And then we'll head back to the right, onto the crate, and over to the exit. Alright, this next section is going to involve a big machine that is some sort of a press that we need to make our way through by quickly moving to safe points. This way you don't get crushed as you're trying to get through it. You'll see here's the machine, and the first safe point is that square with the red light in it. So as soon as it starts to rise up, I'm going to jump up and quickly run over to there and jump into this safe spot so I don't get crushed. The second one is very similar. You can see it, sort of trapezoid shape over here. The third one is a little different. So you can see that red lit shaft over there. What we need to do is jump a little early so we're grabbing the edge, but you don't want to climb up, you want to be dangling and then climb up as soon as it starts to rise. For this one, simply run past and then run back into the safe point. And for the last one, you want to be running as soon as it opens because you need to be quick. Jump up, and then you need to turn around and jump up and climb into this one. You barely have enough time to get in there before it crushes you. And then you can simply rush out the side. As you're sliding down, jump off to this rope, and you'll see the bad guy and brother come into the elevator. He'll flip the switch, and we'll ride up with the elevator for a minute or so. And what we'll see here in another, I think it's at the next level, is the screen will kind of shift, and that's where you need to jump off. And the opening for the elevator shaft will close, and then you can make your way across to the right. There's the screen shift, that's your indication to jump off. I'm not sure what happens if you don't jump off. This opening is closed, so we can run across. I saw the rope just fall, so maybe it results in a lethal fall, I'm not sure. Now what we have is a series of moving platforms. You need to just kind of take a step off when it reaches the wall, otherwise you'll just stand there on that little lip. And then drop down, get on the robot. Now you need to ride the robot over into the other shaft, and there'll be four platforms you need to work your way up and eventually exit out on the right. The timing is kind of tight for the third and fourth because both platforms come out and will pinch you if you're too slow to get through. So you need to sort of be anticipating the platform coming out. That was a little too fast that time. Got that one. There we go. And if you're any slower than that, you will get pinched and crushed by the platforms. And here we have a conveyor dropping crates out. Progression is up through that right ladder. In order to reach either of the ladders, you need to stack 2 crates on top of each other. We want to reverse the conveyor with this switch so that we can get up the left ladder, which will lead us to a flower. So what I'm going to do is grab this crate, and this is kind of tricky. You need to do it in such a way that you have a little lip on the edge so you can jump up and get onto the top of the second crate. If they're stacked square on top of each other, you won't be able to climb up to the top of the second one. So I'll run over here and get the flower, and then I'll drop down. Now when you drop down, you want to be careful not to drop to the left of a crate, or it very likely will just push you off into the fire, which is bad. Now I'm going to need to run over here to the edge, make that jump, hopefully. That was close. Reverse the conveyor and do the same thing, stack the crates. This can be kind of tricky just because of the way handling the crates works, but again, you've got to have you've got to have a lip to stand on. So you've got to have it positioned just right when that second crate falls out. Thought I had it that time, maybe not. There we go. And then we'll thought I had it that time too. Careless jump. Alright, so let's do this one more time. Alright, so there we go. Now we're up. And now we'll head over to the right. And let's see what's next. Okay, you got to drop down here. I don't think it's a lethal fall all the way to the conveyor, but I'm going to try to drop onto a crate just to be safe. It seems like an awful long fall. We need to jump across the gap on the right, but in order to do so, you first need to come over to the left and get on this platform here. Over here you can pull this switch down, which will move that platform over, and that'll make the jump makeable. So you want to jump onto a crate, and then at the last minute jump over to that moving platform. And then we'll continue on to the right. Just kind of weave our way up here. Alright, what we have here is a room with 4 moving platforms. You slide down to the bottom, you can pull a switch to start them in motion, and then what you want to do is jump up onto this first platform, and you just got to kind of take this slow, go up 1 platform at a time, and after I think 4 cycles they stop, at which point in time you'd be at the top platform and you could jump up to that central ladder and escape. We actually don't want to do that. We want to jump off up to the right to get down to a hidden area with a flower. So we'll wait for this to approach the far right point, jump over, and voila. hidden area. Drop down here and head over to, I believe this is flower number 13, maybe 14. I should have kept track, I'm sorry. Alright, now we need to slide down, activate the switch, and repeat the process. Except this time we're just going to stay on that top platform so we can jump up to that central ladder. Wait for this to come back. This will be the final cycle, and this will stop right in the middle of the room. Alright, jump up to the ladder. And now here we are at a section with a missable achievement. The achievement is for saving this robot. Essentially what we have is a room where we're going to flip a switch and start these two giant presses in motion. If the robot is under the press, it will get destroyed and you'll miss the achievement. So conscience achievement. Here we go. What you need to do is ride the robot over to the left, and we need to get him into this room here, and in order to do that we need to open the doors. Now if you look above, you will see 3 switches. The one on the right I think serves no purpose, is already kind of switched down. From here it's very easy to jump onto that switch on the left, which will start the presses in motion, and you don't want to do that until you've jumped to the second switch to save the robot. And the way to do that is you need to get to the very edge of the ledge and jump off so you don't hit that first switch in the course of your jump. Then simply ride the robot into this room, and I don't recall, but you may get the achievement right there at that point. I don't remember if you have to progress actually with the machines in motion. Next step is to jump over to the switch. Now what I kind of do here is just jump straight up, and then after I've jumped, press left or right, because you need to climb up a bit of a ways here to get up to the... There is a rope hanging up at the top that I want to get up to cross over to the top of the press. Oh, look at that. Don't fall too far, dummy. I fell all the way back down. Awesome. Wait for the next one. Again, I just kind of jump and then, okay, so I'm going to jump over to this rope from here, and then I'll rope walk over. You just need to be careful with the press here that you drop onto it when it's up near the top, and that you don't get crushed under that platform immediately to my right. And then there's going to be one on the other side. So I'll run over here and I'll get on the far side as to not get crushed when it comes up. Jump up to the rope, walk across. Now again, you want to be careful on these rope walks not to push down at all, otherwise it will drop you off. You'll fall to your death. So again, I'll run across, then when it comes back up there'll be another rope that'll take me over to the exit at the top of that ladder. There we go. Now what we need to do is simply ride one of these platforms to the top. When it gets to the top, the outer sides rotate down, and I guess you would fall off if you hadn't jumped off. So I'm going to jump off or walk off right there, and then continue in the factory. And I believe this next puzzle is what I believe was pretty much the trickiest thing in the game, at least for me. You come into this room with a burning pipe and a rope. It leads outside to some moving platforms in the rain that, if you'll notice, the rain gets blocked as they move by. That's important. And then ultimately to a room with a rope, a barrel, and what appears to be a trap door that you can't do anything with using this rope. I tried. What you instead need to do is push the barrel back through the rainy section here and into the other room with the burning pipe. And we're going to do two things. First thing we're going to do is go get a flower. So jump on this rope twice to pull the pipe down. We're going to position this just to the right of that pipe. We'll wait for the fire to burn out, and then we're going to quickly jump up and climb up and head to the left outside. All the way to the left out here, we're going to get what should be flower number 14. And we'll head back. And you're going to need to carefully jump down here after the fire burns out. I generally walk to the edge and just sort of drop down rather than jumping. And now what we want to do is we want to push the barrel into the stream of fire so it catches on fire. And we want to bring it back into the other room. Now the rain will extinguish the fire, so you need to time it so you get under one of these moving platforms, and now it's not getting rained on anymore. And now we'll pull it along. You are slightly faster than the platform, so be mindful of that. And then when we pull it back into this room, if we've done it and timed it properly, the fire will still be burning. And now what you do is simply move this burning fire and use this rope as a fuse. The fire will burn up, burn away the rope, and the trapdoor will open. And you want to let the rain put the fire out before you try to jump on the barrel. And then you can use the barrel to get up to the ladder. Climb up and continue along. And what we now have here is a puzzle with 3 carts of various height, a switch on my right now that I can't quite reach yet, and a switch on my left, both of which simply control this lift in the middle. And the goal is to get the 3 carts onto this side in the opposite orientation so that you can climb them up to the top of that roof. And the way we do that is we move the first cart onto the lift. There we go. Then you simply flip the switch to lower that below. Now you need to head back and you need to bring the middle cart to the other side. And in order to do that, you got to climb over it with this ladder. Otherwise you'll be stuck on the other side of it. And then push it in. And now you want to bring the lift up so that you can push the small cart out of the lift. Now you want to bring the big cart onto the lift. And again, the way we're going to need to do this is we'll bring it on and then we'll use the ladders to get on the other side of it. That is not what I meant to do. And I think you want to be careful. I think just like running and jumping off of that might result in a lethal fall, so I'm just going to hang and drop. And then I'm going to lower that to the bottom. And then we push. I think you can see where we're going from here. We're just going to push these 2 back to the other side. And then when we raise the lift back up for the final time, the tall one will be in the correct position. And we just need to push them all over into place. So I'll push that there. Lift up. Jump over. And then we can push them all at once to the far side of the area. And once it's all the way up against the wall, you can climb up to the top and proceed. And from here we want to climb this ladder on this exhaust pipe or whatever it is. And then jump across. And here we have some claw-like hands, and essentially we're working our way down into a room that has a press that is pressing basically, I would say, borderline molten blocks of metal. And in order to get by, we need to time it so we can jump over the hot pieces of metal and then onto the press and then go under the press, etc. So we need to wait one full cycle, so we're one section lower, and you'll see this cube being squished, and as that comes out it's going to stop, and then when it loads into that lower claw I'm going to jump over it, and then I'm going to stop just before the press, and then when the press comes down I'm going to jump onto the top of it, and then I'm going to go down and get to the other side, and it'll press again, and I can get to the top of it, and now I can go down and quickly run to the other end, and we're through that. Alright, what we have here is I believe that piece of metal is molten, and what we need to do is we need to move it over to the bath of water and then lower it in there, and I believe what that does is that cools it off so you can step on it without dying. I'm not certain. I believe that's the physics of it. It looked like a also I believe what it did is it got rid of some of the water in that tank so we can jump in there without dying. So now we bring this over, and we can jump to there, over to the tank, and across to the next platform. And what we have here is like a maze of ductwork with several locked doors. I think there's 4 or 5. You can see there, you can get a good view of the whole thing if you run all the way over to the right. Now what you see is if you look in the very upper left corner, you see like a little red door with 2 horizontal lights on it, and then to the right of that there's essentially a switch you can push, and the way it works is you need to go in order and push the switches. Center left is one that's open that I can get to, so I'm going to need to make my way to that center left switch, and when I push that it'll open one of the other ones, and I need to push all the switches in order to open that exit in the bottom left hand corner. Let me back up so I can see exactly where I'm going. Alright, so drop down here, over this way, and go left from here, jump up, and push the switch. There you see that opened that switch directly below me, so now I can go all the way around and down to push the next switch. And now that opened up the upper left switch, so we need to backtrack all the way to the top in the upper left hand corner. This way. Alright, push this switch. And now I need to go back to the right hand side to push the last switch and open the final door. Now I just need to go straight to the left. And that's it for this section. Now what we have is, I believe these are robot chassis that are being used to create the robots. And we want to walk off onto here. We'll ride it up to the top. It might not be immediately apparent what you're supposed to do here. Essentially, this thing I'm standing on will be brought into that room on the left, and you'll see it get whatever they're doing to it to create robots. There is a ladder that's hard to see up on the right. That's what you need to do, is jump over to that ladder. If you go in that room, you'll get killed. From the top of this ladder, you can get over the top, and then what you're going to want to do is jump on this robot body and ride it down. And we'll jump off here and make our way over to this lift, drop onto it. Am I missing something? I don't think so. Don't tell me I've glitched the game. Odd. This lift should start bringing me up, and there's literally nothing I can do in here. I can't jump on this cable. Strange. I guess I need to replay the last section in order to progress the game. I think what I'm going to do is just advance to the next section, which is just at the top of this lift. Normally when you walk out of that chamber onto this lift, it starts rising. I'll play the last section over again, just so we can see it. Maybe I worked out the game somehow by dropping onto that elevator too quickly. I don't know. It'll just take me 30 seconds to get back there again. So once this reaches its maximum height, jump over to the ladder. Jump over to the central platform and down to the ledge on here, and then jump onto this robot body. Alright, so I'm going to hang out in this tube here for a minute. Let the screen shift. I'll drop in now. There we go. So yeah, that was strange last time. I must have confused the game by dropping in too quickly. I don't know. But what we have here is like a 30-second, 45-second ride to the top with a loading screen in the middle, apparently. And as we start riding to essentially what's the top part of the factory, we get to see some sort of strange happenings. Reminds me of the Matrix a little bit, where it appears that they're using kids maybe as fuel in some capacity, and that's what the bad guy wants you and your brother for. I'm not sure. And here we see the giant eye, which the way this thing works is it'll focus on you and you see its pupil growing. After its pupil reaches a maximum size, you'll just be instantly killed unless you can get out of its line of sight behind generally these structures. And if you notice, you'll see its pupil is shrunk back to small size. What I suggest you do is get to this structure, which is where I believe the checkpoint is, so you don't have to go through the elevator ride again. And then you can just let this thing kill you, and it'll give you an achievement for the 5th type of death. And then you just want to progress along. Let the pupil shrink. What we're going to have to do here is pull this out to jump up. What I'm going to do, though, is let the pupil shrink fully before I go. I need to jump across here and get to here so the pupil will shrink. Now what I'm going to need to do here is there's a long bridge you need to go across, and kind of down in the lower right hand side of the screen there's one of those pillars like I'm standing in front of now, and if we pull the switch that'll eventually put it in motion so it works its way up to the middle of the bridge. So I'm going to come back here, and if you see down there, you see it kind of closed up and now it's starting to move. And you need to time it so the pupil doesn't get big enough and kill you before that gets to the bridge. There we go. Now, so I'm behind it, and I'm just going to, it'll eventually disappear. But the pupil is shrunk all the way, so I can continue on again, and that should give me just enough time to get to the next one. Okay, so what we have here is, I'm going to go grab this movable object. We need this to reach up to the next platform. I probably shouldn't have done that in one motion, but I was feeling pretty brazen, so I did. We're going to run all the way to the right and get a flower and then run back before the pupil kills us. That's flower number 15. And there's one more flower in the Zeppelin area. So now I will push this out about halfway and then run back. Let the pupil shrink. Then I'll push it out the rest of the way and again run back and let the pupil shrink. And then I'm going to be able to use that to jump up to that platform on the right. And then up to that platform above where there's a safe spot. So now that the pupil is shrunk, we'll run across. Jump onto this, over to here, and up to here. And I'm going to wait a second for the pupil to shrink, and when I jump on this switch, it's going to put this sort of arm in motion, and I'm going to run across that tube to the next section. And then from here we have kind of an annoying puzzle. There's 4 switches. Pulling them makes everything move up, and ultimately we need to get everything risen up so we can exit on the left. I feel like I struggled kind of with the timing and everything with this, but as I remember, you're going to move this one first, you're going to run across and get the last one, and that'll start making some motion, and then you want to get these next 2 going. Alright, so now once this rises up, hopefully the eye will have shrunk, and I can run across here. Then we'll jump to this last one, and then we'll proceed. Alright, now here I'm no longer in control of my character. It's going to zoom in on that bottom little cryo cell or whatever it is, and it appears to be Brother. And there's the bad guy in his little capsule over there. So what we'll do is we'll run towards him, and we need to jump on it and hang on it. And that's going to cause it to fall. And you want to keep holding left so you run and jump through the hole that created. Should be safe now. There we are. You're reunited with your brother. Push Y to start a little I missed you sequence. Alright, you pick him up and continue on your way. We'll drop down into some sort of building here, and this lift will start rising us up. And now we are sort of locked into place here. You see the Zeppelin rise in the background with the bad guy ominously coming towards us. And after another 30 seconds or so of little action here, it's going to end the factory section. And you can't escape the lights of the Zeppelin, and that's it.